All right. So, I I wanted to. Today marks the 3-year anniversary or divorcery of me being divorced, and truthfully, I wanted to make light of the situation at first, maybe tell a joke or two, something very Alex August, right? Just making light of something and just kind of sharing my thanks for just the journey. Um but I think I want to do something different, right? And kind of use my platform just a little bit differently. I think we all have a platform, whether we know it or not, and I'm constantly reminded by of this by my circle. Over the last 3 years, I've talked to a lot of gentlemen, a lot of men who share just the fact of, share the same experience as me in the fact that they've gotten divorced. And I realized that we can call it luck, we can call it privilege, but my situation for myself was very, very easy to walk away from. I walked away relatively unscathed. And I know that that's not always the case with everybody. So I don't know necessarily, I don't know everyone's situation, and I don't think it's necessary for anyone to share theirs with me. But I think that I wanted to just kind of share some pieces of advice, right? Some words, right? Something that'll make sense of part of the journey. I think that um, I can share this piece, right? Which is my goal was to live life, enjoy life, and make great of a situation for myself to the point where, maybe people would just forget that I was ever married. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like, oh man, damn, he was right. Just kind of like one of those kind of situations. I hope I'm successful, right? I hope that people are like, "Fuck is he talking about?" um, but here's the thing: there's a way to do that, and I don't know. Like, I feel like I stopped caring maybe a month into that idea, right? It was like, oh, well, I should just. Um, Here's what I did, and my advice. I'm gonna just start this off with this is like my advice is I think that the best way to get through any struggle that you're having with divorce and romance is something that women kind of do this very, very easily. And there's so much attention put on this. And then for men, I think I can agree with the idea that it's almost like no one cares. Like I could see that, right? I've been through it. I've lived through it. I've experienced to where it's like, wow, maybe no one cares, right? And I think that's a good place to get to. That's a good place to be at where you say, maybe they don't, right? Um, is it my job to make the world care? Nah, that's what am I gonna do? Stand on a corner with a sign and a megaphone? No, I think the secret really is, and the secret is self-love, right? You gotta love yourself. And I know a lot of men probably shy away from that. Oh my God, bro, I don't want to have to put cucumbers on my eyes and stuff. And it's like, have you ever put cucumbers on your eyes? Like cucumbers on your eyes is not something that happens at like a dive bar, right? Cucumbers on your eyes happens at a spa. So it's like, when was the last time you been to a spa and paid for the deluxe package for yourself? For me, I started off very, very simply, right? I bought a pair of shoes, some sneakers, kind of simple gesture. All right, cool. And then I realized as I clicked on checkout, I was like, why did I only buy one? Like, what if we got really freaky, right? What if we got nasty? And what if I bought another pair? So I bought two. And it started with two. And then as I was like, as the box came in and I was excited, I opened up in the box and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, why don't we just buy a new pair of shoes every check? Like every time I get paid, I want to buy a new pair of shoes. Let's just go all the way. Let's turn this into a situation. And being able to just see and receive this gift from myself, right? You can say, oh, well, I earned it. I did. I can also say, if we change the word earn, I could also say I deserve it, right? And so now every 2 weeks, I'm buying myself a gift. And eventually it goes from shoes to, you know what, that shoe would look great with an outfit. Okay, cool. Now before you know it, in 4 to 8 weeks, you have purchased all of these gifts for yourself that you have told yourself that you deserve. It's gonna make you feel good, right? And then you graduate from shoes and clothes to, yeah, yeah, let me get a pedicure with the extra massage and let y'all got cucumbers. Can you put cucumbers over my eye? Because dog, I deserve it and I want it, right? And before you know it, you start maintaining yourself and taking care of yourself. By the way, great place to meet, just you don't have to meet them, but at least they're there for you to look at. They're looking at you. Nice little exchange. If something pops off, perfect, right? But it's like you start taking care of yourself in a way that introduces how other people should take care of you, right? And so if you think about divorce, it's this situation where maybe there's a good guy and maybe there's a bad guy, and like you might be, just using just a random example, but you might be someone who's on the receiving end of you being the bad guy, and everyone's talking about how you did this and how you did that and all of these things. And now every new person that you meet is looking at you take care of you and saying, right, because they won't know your backstory, but now they get to look at you and say, wow, like I'm gonna treat this guy the way I see him treating himself, right? And so it's a love language that ends up being very easily translated by people who you meet, right? It's important to kind of like cut ties, like with just different things. And again, I think my situation, I was like privileged and kind of lucky that like I didn't have kids. There wasn't really a lot to discuss. It was like, hey, we're gonna do this thing. All right, cool, yeah, let's do it. And so my situation is very different. But I think it's just something to think about as well. Like, do you want to be the person who's worrying about, like, let me tell y'all, like, it does get lonely, right? It does get hard. You will ask yourself questions like, yo, like what am I, how did I, mm, the phone calls will slow down, the invitations to birthday parties and weddings, and like and hey, such and such is going to propose to his girl, like some of those things are going to slow down. The requests for double dates will slow down. Like all of that is going to come to a creeping halt. But I think you just got to stay steadfast on the fact that you are now building a new life, right? I think of maybe the most masculine animal out there, right? The king of the jungle himself, the lion, right? And lions grow up in a pride and then eventually they get pushed out by the big lion. But the idea is that this male lion, young as he is, doesn't matter, now has to build his own life. And male lions do not try to join another pride until it's time to join another pride. But during that time when they're alone on the savannas, maybe they're by themselves, legitimately by themselves, or sometimes they're with their brothers. But like that is the most dangerous lion on the savannah, right? If you look at a pride of lions, the lionesses hunt, they get the food, they eat, they feed the cubs, and then the male lion comes in to eat. And usually it's like, yo, if you didn't eat before this man ate, you probably gonna be licking bones because the hyenas and the vultures are coming very, very quickly, right? That is something that is earned when the lion becomes the leader of the pride. But before he's the leader of the pride, he is a solo lion hunting for himself, feeding himself, cleaning himself. He does not have access to a mate. He is literally solely focused on his survival. Solely. Nothing else matters to him. He sleeps by himself. He's going to fend off and fight off hyenas. He's going to fight off and fend off leopards. He's going to steal food from everybody else. And most importantly, if he needs to, he is absolutely going to hunt by himself. There will be a day, when that lion is going to challenge the leader of another pride, take over, and then has earned his right to grab whatever carcass the lionesses grab, right? That's how I feel about the journey. That was what I mapped out for my journey, right? Was that like, yo, it's gonna be it's gonna be the solo on the savannas, baby. It's just me and Mango. She's right there. But it's just gonna be me, like, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna dress well with my new outfits. I'm gonna buy a young lady a drink at the bar, and at the end of the night, I'm gonna shake her hand and say, "You have a great night," and I'm gonna leave and go home. Flirt, have fun, go home. Right? Everything doesn't need to be transactional. I'm not desperate and reaching out and hoping and feeling a type of way when things don't go my way. Right? That was my focus. Um, and it didn't take long to be very honest with you. It didn't take long before just the level of input that I was putting into myself started to pay off. I want to say 6 months, right? Um, I was going to the gym. I was investing in myself and bettering myself physically. That was helping me mentally. It was also helping me financially. It was helping me professionally. It was helping me like my relationship with my friends, my relationships with my boys, with my mother, with my brothers, with every single human being around me. The relationships elevated because, from a concerned standpoint, they were like, "Hey, are you good?" And then they saw what I was doing for myself, and they were like, "Whoa, all right, bro, like that's a good step. Wow, look at the direction you've gone in." And so I think that's just important. It's like, every single day your body is doing involuntary activities, right? You can hold your breath for as long as you want, but at some point your body is going to be like, we're going to grasp and gasp for air, right? So you're going to breathe regardless. Every single day and every single minute and every single hour of the day, you have to choose to control your breathing, right? You can't control that you're breathing or not, right? You need to do it, it's necessary, but you can control the pacing of that breath. And so for me, that's how this that's how the next stage works. Is like every single day you have to make decisions. Every single minute you have to make decisions about what content you're consuming. I know it's very easy to be a man and get on the internet and they're talking about these females this and women are that and these bitches are this, these hoes are that, and there's a lot of like lack of accountability in that content. It's always someone else's fault and someone else's this, but it's never about like, hey, look, the best thing you can do as a man is just ride solo. You're not gonna die. Your genes are not gonna suddenly fall off, and your lineage, all of that stuff. Like, no, 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 no. Be single for a year or two. Date, date, and speak that in your dating of like, hey, listen, I am interested in getting to know someone. I'm playing the long game. I'd like to take my time and really build a solid connection. If somebody says that they don't want that, right? If they're like, I needed it 3 months, all right, you have a great time, right? Again, going back to people will treat you how they see you treat yourself. And so I just looked at my journey at that point as an opportunity for me to build build things that like I was too young earlier to figure out that I needed to build. What are my requirements? What are my standards? What is my type? You know what I mean? Like just all of like being able to rewrite the history. I was a villain in someone else's story. That story is not, it's not the story, right? It's a story. And so being better, being a better person, being better at relationships, being better at just everything, y'all. You get this opportunity. It is really like I saw this quote one time that said, "What time? Like every new day starts at midnight. Every new day starts in the dark, at midnight, twilight, bottom of the night, top of the night, whatever you want to call it. But there are 6 to 7 very long hours before the sun finally comes up. And when the sun comes up, it is up for quite some time. So you invest in yourself in that sense. You invest in like, hey, look, I'm going to feel this type of way. I am going to be grieving a relationship and a loss of friendship and all of these things. I am going to be frustrated and be upset and be mad. I am going to be like, all of these feelings that I'm going to have are going to be very real, and I should tap into them. I should really lean into how I feel and have the conversation with myself about how I feel. This is the end, right? And the end of one thing can be the beginning of others. I think I don't have children, but I think that what I've heard from a lot of people is like the ending of a relationship is an opportunity to have a relationship with your children. And if you can build something new from that, or if you can build on that, right, you are doing a really, really good service and a good job as a father. That is your new role, father, right? There's just a lot to it, and I know, like I mentioned in the beginning, there's so much differences in every single person's experience and their journey. And I think that, I'm able to have this conversation and say this piece because there were times where I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. There were times where like people tried to use that as an insult towards me. Like, oh yeah, that's why your wife left you, motherfucker, right? And I think it had got to a point where I was like, oh, wow, I actually knew you were going to go for that one. And I just walk away, right? Walk away from the situation. People are going to try to hurt you. They're going to try to talk down on you. There's going to be content that you're going to be exposed to that's going to talk about this and talk about that and talk about men not being this and men not being that. And yo, the world can be very, very cold to you if you open the door without the heater on, right? If you're not ready to talk about relationships, I beg you, don't allow relationships on your social media algorithm. Look up sea turtles, leatherback sea turtles, Japanese river otter. Um, Go to the gym, watch gym workouts, watch movies, watch anything. But if you're not ready to have conversations about relationships, don't look into it. It's going to feed the worst parts of what you're struggling with, right? If you're not ready for how cold that world is out there when it comes to relationships, don't open the door without the heater on. Now, once you get to a place where you're comfortable and you're solid in your newfound beliefs and views of relationships, of healthy relationships, you'll actually notice and acknowledge how toxic everything is out there, and you won't even want to talk about relationships. That's my story. That's what I went through. Again, despite how easy and breezy and how quick and sudden my divorce was, um, I leaned into what was important to me, right? With a brand new opportunity at a brand new life. And like I said, maybe people forgot, maybe they didn't. But the vivid life just keeps on shining bright. And I wish that for every single person who is, is a good person who is struggling with really what feels like the most tectonic, um, cataclysmic breakup you'll probably ever have in your life, right? I wish you like to have bright days, bright moments, moments of laughter, joy, and very kind conversations with yourself as you go through this process in your journey. So, like I mentioned, I could have made a joke today, um, but I'll leave you with this, right? Maybe this is a joke or maybe not, but I remember my first shirtless post on social media, and it almost feels like, what's the significance of that, right? But it's just like, I remember it. Like, who's gonna, I'm working out now, baby. Like, I'm working out. It's looking good, and it was almost like I was nervous about it, and it was like, but what am I nervous about? Like, to say the least, it was like, who's gonna check me? And then I remember my first waist down photo, just a full body photo, and it's like, we gonna be all right. So yeah, man, I just wish that, man. I just wish everybody a very healthy journey, and find your people, find your tribe, right? But as you go to your tribe, find yourself, find yourself, and tell your tribe that you're finding yourself. And if you got good people around you, good people to lean in, man, and they'll be an amazing support system. So again, I wish everybody on their journey a good time and a vivid life.